हेलो दोस्तों, स्टडी स्टेनो विद गुरुजी में एक बार आपका फिर से स्वागत है। आशा करता हूँ आप सभी बहुत अच्छे होंगे। तो दोस्तों, आज के जो अपना वीडियो होगा वो डिक्टेशन पर आधारित होगा। तो दोस्तों, आज मैं आपको 3 डिक्टेशन प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है, एक ही वीडियो में। तो मतलब पहला होगा 60+, दूसरा होगा 80+, और तीसरा होगा 100+, ठीक है दोस्तों। और जो आज की स्पीच होगी वो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर की स्पीच होगी, ठीक है दोस्तों, प्रीवियस ईयर में आई हुई, ठीक है। तो दोस्तों, बी रेडी। 5 4 3 2 1 स्टार्ट। इन द व्यू ऑफ recommendation made by backward classes commission, the government of India examined the matter in consultation with the state governments concerned. This is exactly what we have decided and what has been incorporated in the present bill. As a result, it was decided that in the case of Rajasthan, the area restriction should be removed altogether because in Rajasthan, this population has been spread over a very large area. It was found that they have entitled to this measure of protection, and therefore this area restriction has not been kept in respect of Rajasthan at all. In the case of other 2 states, namely Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, the tribes residing in Tehsil where there is concentration of 20% or more of tribal population should be specified as scheduled tribes. This is point number 2 so far as the silent recommendation of the backward classes commission were concerned. Then, sir, the third point was regarding the actual omission or actual addition. There were a number of omission or actual addition. There were a number of communities in respect of this. There are certain difficulties also which I shall be pointing out very soon. So far as the backward classes commission recommendation in this respect were concerned, there were certain natural handicaps when we received their recommendation regarding their addition or omission. Naturally, we had to depend upon the well-concerned view of the state government. As I stated to the House, there was a double reference. The first reference was at the preliminary tentative proposal that the government and involved. Therefore, in this case, after the receipt of the views of the state government, the state government of India finally recast what they had prepared in the light of these views. Generally, what has been done is when there has been a recommendation which is supported both the backward classes commission and the state government, then we accept that particular community either for addition if formerly it was not there, or for omission if omission has been jointly supported by both these people. If, example, there is a difference of opinion between them, then the government considered the matter. I would point out that the state government have a number of meanings of knowing the correct position so far as these are concerned, so far as the backward classes commission was concerned. There were certain handicaps as pointed out to you, and therefore we have tried to follow the view of state government to the extent that it is necessary in a few cases. Naturally, we had to come to certain conclusion irrespective of the view either of the backward classes commission or of the state government, but such cases are not main. And then, after considering all these things, we have prepared the list, and you will find in the schedule attached to the bill the names of the various communities which ought to be recognized so far as either the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes are concerned. More important question arise so far as the number of these communities is concerned. That was a very difficult task. Now, what happened in 1951 was naturally representation were made to the government. That we representation were made to the government that we ought to given up encouraging or perpetuating caste system, and therefore when the 1951 census had to be prepared, the questions arose as to whether government should have the enumeration through their officers in respect of the members of the separate castes as well, or whether the enumeration should be confined to the groups of categories of scheduled caste as a whole and scheduled tribes as a whole. For example, take a particular communities, the Bhil communities in some of the former census we had these communities shown separately, but in the 1951 census, on account of the decision that the government took, there was this view that we should not go on. There was this view that we should not go on. There was this view that we should not go on perpetuating the various castes and tribes. The desire was to amalgamate of them under these two recognized heads, namely the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Therefore, a separate enumeration as wheel was not generally mentioned. I am mentioning only one community, not the other. What was done was, when the man started that he belonged to a particular tribe or a caste, then the enumerator found out whether he was one of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes recognized by a precedence order. Then his name was shown in the category of scheduled caste or scheduled tribes without mentioning the special community. Afterwards, this communication was appointed. One of the result of the appointment of this commissions was naturally the accentuation of the emphasis on castes and ट्राइब्स स्टॉप। तो दोस्तों ये थी 60 वर्ड पर मिनट की स्पीड से, दोस्तों 80 वर्ड पर मिनट की स्पीड से। तो बी रेडी, 5 4 3 2 1 start. In the view of the recommendation made by the Backward Classes Commission, the Government of India examined the matter in consultation with the state government concerned. This is exactly what we have decided and what has been incorporated in the present bill. As a result, it has been decided that in the case of Rajasthan, the area restriction should be removed altogether, because in Rajasthan this population has been spread over a very large area. It was found that they have entitled to these measures of protection, and therefore this area restriction has not been kept up in respect of Rajasthan. And in the case of other two states, namely Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, the tribes residing in Tehsil were there is concentration of 20% or more of tribal population should be specified as scheduled tribes. This is point number 2 so far as the silent recommendation of the backward classes communication were considered. Then, sir, the third point was regarding the actual omission or actual addition. There were a number of communities in respect of these. There are certain difficulties as which I shall be pointing out very soon so far as the backward classes commission recommendation in this respect were concerned. There were certain naturally handicaps were. We received their recommendations regarding either addition or omission. Naturally, we had to open upon the well-considered view of the state government. As I started to the house, there was a double reference. The first reference was at the preliminary stage and the second reference was with regarding to the tentative proposal that the government had involved. Therefore, in this case, after the receipt of the view of the state government, the government of India finally recast what they had prepared in the light of these views. Generally, what has been done is when there has been a recommendation which is supported both the backward classes commission and the state government, then we accept that particular communities either for addition if namely it was not there, or for omission if omission has been jointly supported by both these people. If example there is a difference of opening between them, then the government considered the matter. I would point out that the state government have a number of meanings of knowing the correct position so far as there are considered so far as the backward classes commission. The concerned therefore were certain handicaps as pointed out to, and therefore we have tried to follow the view of the state government to the extent that we is necessary in a few cases. Naturally, we had to come to certain conclusions irrespective of the view either of the backward classes commission or of the view state governments, but such cases are not named any. Then, after considering all these things, we have prepared the list, and you will find in the schedule attached to the bill the names of the various communities which ought to be recognized so far as there the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes are considered. One more important question arises so far as the number of these communities in concerned. That was a very difficult task. Now, what happened in 1951 was naturally representation were made to the government that we ought to give up encouraging or perpetuating caste system, and therefore when the 1951 census had to be prepared, the question arose as to whether the government should have the enumeration through their officer in respect of the number of the separate caste as well, or whether the enumeration should be confined to the groups or categories of scheduled caste as a whole and scheduled tribes as a whole. For example, take a particular communities, the Bhil communities. In case of the former census, we had these communities so separately, but in the 1951 census, or account of the decision that the government took, there was this view that we should not go on perpetuating the various castes and tribes. The desire was to amalgamate all of them under these two recognized heads, namely the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Therefore, a separate enumeration, the as Bhil, was not generally mentioned. I am mentioning only one communities, not the other. What was done was, when the man started that he belonged to a particular tribes or a caste, then the enumerator found out whether he was one of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes recognized by the President's order. Then his name was shown in the category of scheduled caste or scheduled tribes without mentioning the special communities. Afterward, this communication was appointed. One of the result of the appointment of this communication was naturally the acceleration of the emphasis on caste and tribes. Stop. तो ये थी दोस्तों 80 वर्ड पर मिनट की स्पीड। दोस्तों अगर पसंद आई हो तो लाइक, सब्सक्राइब और अपने दोस्तों को शेयर ज़रूर करें। धन्यवाद।